In this video, I wanted to talk about what happens when a narcissistic parent faces a loss and what the hidden impact is on the child. If this is something that interests you, then please stay tuned to find out more. Now, if you grew up with a narcissistic parent, you will have learned very early on that your emotional needs had to take a back seat. And this, of course, becomes even more painful during times of loss, like the death of a parent, the death of a sibling, or even just your narcissistic parent's partner. And in those moments, this death affects the child very, very much. But the narcissistic parent is not able to give the child the emotional support that it needs because they are very much focused on their own grief and how this affects them. It is very important to mention that grief is actually very, very complicated, and everybody processes loss very differently. But when a parent has strong narcissistic traits, the grief can look like the focus of that grief shifting entirely onto their own pain. They end up needing constant validation, attention, and emotional support from their children. They might express grief in very intense or dramatic ways. And in most cases, I would say they are emotionally shut down and emotionally unavailable to their children. What is often missing when a narcissistic parent experiences grief is the emotional space that their child needs. The child is going through this grief just as much as the parent, and they need the family to feel like they are all grieving together, that they are all supporting each other. And the narcissistic parent, unfortunately, fails to do this. The child will feel deeply hurt and confused by this because not only are they grieving the loss of their sibling or their other parent, but they are also feeling completely unseen, unsupported, and sometimes even responsible for holding everything together because their narcissistic parent is unable to cope with this loss. They have to become the strong one once again. They have to take care of the parent, so there is role reversal and they become parentified again. They have to suppress their own grief, and they also sometimes have to disconnect from their own emotions and their own grief in order to help the narcissistic parent cope better. And the thing that is really important to mention here is that instead of the child being held in their grief, the child learns to hold others while actually they are hurting themselves. And over time, this can lead to a deep insecurity in trusting their own emotions. They will feel guilt for having basic needs. They will feel a sense that their pain doesn't matter. And they will generally see a pattern of overfunctioning in relationships. So when they have a partner, they will be the one that's doing too much. They will be the one that's almost mothering their partner. And they will find it very hard to put their own needs first in moments where they really, really need this. And also they will notice that in moments of high stress, they will go straight into thinking, analyzing, or caretaking instead of actually just allowing themselves to feel. They find it very hard just sitting with their feelings. So they will intellectualize, they will ruminate, they will overanalyze. They will basically go into their heads instead of just sitting with the uncomfortable emotions, naming that emotion, and just letting it pass through them. Intellectualizing is essentially when we move into our minds in order to feel safe. But this is really not helpful because we need to feel our emotions in order to process them. Going into our minds may have helped us survive in childhood when things felt too overwhelming or when we were unsupported. But now that we're adults and we're no longer in that environment, or at least we have the choice not to be, it doesn't help us anymore to go into our heads. What we need to do is feel, process and let go of the emotions that go through us. So if you went through a loss in your family and you also had a narcissistic parent, it may be that you lost one of your siblings. It may be that your mother or father died and the parent that was left was the narcissistic one, and they were not there for you. You will have difficulties in the present with noticing what you feel in your body, with allowing emotions to be present in gentle, sort of manageable ways. And it's important to remind yourself that whenever you feel grief or sadness, that your experience matters, that it's okay to have these feelings and that they're not too big and they're not unwelcome now. That you now can allow them to be present and you can process them and then let them be released from your body. If you have been through this, you were never meant to carry your grief alone, and you don't need to keep abandoning yourself in order to stay connected to others. There is space now in your life for both your strength but also your vulnerabilities. It's okay to have emotions and feel sad. It's okay to feel overwhelmed and not quite know how to deal with this. If the topic of this video resonates with you, you are not alone, and there is nothing wrong with you for finding this really, really hard. This is really deep relational work that you need to do in yourself in order to heal, and it does take time. So just be kind to yourself and patient with yourself in navigating this. If you'd like to explore sitting with your emotions more, feeling them more, I do run an online support group for adult children of narcissistic parents, which is every second Saturday of the month. So if you're interested and you feel like you would want some more support with other people who get it, then please get in touch and email me at courageisallyounneed@gmail.com in order to sign up. Thank you so much for watching and for listening today, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Take care. Bye-bye.